Are we good in the recording studio? Not yet. Not yet, okay.
Yep.
We have no public.
Okay,
Good? Okay, all right. It's 9:00. I'm going to call the meeting to order and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, we have, I guess, Greg and Mike are excused.
I did. So I received 2 emails. I received one from Mike that says that he will not be able to attend, and then I received one from Greg saying that he's out of the country.
Whoa. I guess he won't be able to attend. So hopefully Ted will join us. I don't know. I can't imagine it's traffic, but who knows. So roll call, we have Bob, Sam, Kathy, and Doug. And so we have a quorum. No public here for public comment. Approval of minutes, April 20th, 2022.
Sam Lurie, I move that we approve the minutes.
Doug Ekman, I second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Staff report.
Austin Gilchrist, Town of Fort Myers Beach Harbor Master. Yeah, so staff report, basically, we've been keeping up with our numbers. This month, we have sustained an 80% or better percentage in the field. We've been keeping more than 10 systems available throughout this month. We have no currently anybody on the wait list waiting for a system. We do have a wait list, but those are for further out requests coming into the field. Staff has ended 2 leases in the field due to conditions of boats. We've been watching the condition and the, I guess, the way people are conducting themselves on the systems. If we notice trash accumulating, or if they're using tarps or non-marine type things, or anything that is accumulating on the boat to look like the boat's going at risk or derelict, we give them fair warning to come within operating conditions for what we expect in the field. And if they do not, we just do not renew the lease, and then they are to vacate the field and go elsewhere. So we've done that twice this month, and right as we terminated those leases, those balls were immediately filled, so there was no lack in any revenue or anything like that.
They didn't offer to clean up, or?
Well, that was the thing, was there was argument. Well, we had one where they just complied and left, but the other one there was confrontation. But then again, we have pictures, documentations, we have letters and everything else where we've been telling them, you can't be storing your empty gas tanks, your trash. The gentleman had, I think, 3 dinghies off of his boat with no motors taking on water, tarps wrapped around for shade and things like that. And none of it digressed into something that was anything remotely to progress. So at that time, we just told him he's got till the end of the lease
So
to.
you're giving them a warning and.
Oh, fair warning,
and
yes.
notice exactly what's wrong.
It's an ongoing thing. Some people will comply, but the ones who don't, then we just go ahead and just don't renew the lease. It's not we're evicting anybody or anything like that. We're just not renewing the lease for next year. So, other than that, staff has been ongoing with the system configuration in the field. We have been having an issue with binding up in the field with the pennant lines. We've been talking with the engineer and trying to come up with a solution to that. And it's been the actual mooring ball and the pennant are shackled on the same shackle. So we're removing one to eliminate the one because they're kind of canceling each other out. They're pulling in different ways. So one's just binding the other one up and not letting the swivel shackle swivel. So we're just putting one on the bottom and letting one freely pivot in order to stop the bridles from twisting up. So that's an ongoing thing. As soon as vessels are vacating the field, we're coming in behind them, switching them out for the next person to come in. Instead of removing vessels and moving things around, we're just waiting for the system to become vacant, switch them around, and then go on with servicing them. Okay. We have lost 2 part-time people for the mooring field. We're out of season now, so we're down to 1 full-time employee. We hired Patrick Zamorano full-time, moving him up from part-time. We do have an advertisement out, I believe, for one part-time, but we are trying to fill staffing issues right now. We completed our training with Otsego Bay, so we've got to do that every year to upkeep our certification for the oil spill classes with the Otsego Bay Co-op. And that's just 1 year training that the staff goes in and coordinates with local marinas and local staff in the area to respond to any emergency spill that we might have in the area. Every marina or anybody who deals with vessels has to have a staff member on staff that is certified with Otsego Bay. We've got a new pump out boat. The new pump out boat came in. We've just decommissioned the old one. Like I said, it's been on the water. The old one was starting to show maintenance cost on it, so we thought it would be better for the town to trade it in and get the value of it now, other than keep sending money in it while the value of the boat would diminish. So that is up and operational. We have been using it. We've been trying to clean up our office area, the lounge area. I don't know if any of you guys been there, but we are storing some of our dive gear, some of our hardware, and some of our things that we do use to maintain the field in the office. We have been using different areas to store that now, so we've been trying to get out anything that's not welcoming in the office. We're trying to get it out and stored to where it's not cumbersome for any patrons coming into the office. We've been seeing an influx in dinghies out of the mooring field speeding and creating wake, especially people in the east field. I don't know if it's impatience or them not knowing the rules, but we've had to cite 3 people this month for excessive speed in the mooring field. We really don't have any way to really enforce it other than terminating leases. So that's basically what we're doing to maintain the no wake in the field, is to just tell people, this will void your lease if you continue to use excessive speed in these waters. We have untangled 2 vessels this month. It seems to be just kind of a random thing that's going on, and each situation is different. Vessels are going over the mooring systems and getting tangled up in the props. The way it's been handled in the past is tow companies will come out and cut the mooring lines and then detangle them. So we send staff down to untangle everything and just unbolt the systems, remove everything off the boat, and then I wouldn't say reattach. We pull the old systems out, put a new system in, and then evaluate the system that was damaged. And then we charge the boat accordingly to cost of damages. So that happened twice this month, where we had to send divers in to untangle boats. We're going over all our procedures, all of our drop procedures, money procedures, vending procedures, retail procedures, everything like that. We're reevaluating now that we do have some time in the office and seeing where the shortcomings are. We're making note in anything that can be done more efficiently. We're adjusting our logistics as well as far as pump outs, where we're putting certain boats now, depending on the criteria of the vessels. Long-term vessels go in a certain spot, liveaboards go in a certain spot, wet storage goes in a certain spot, and transients go in a certain spot. This helps just create a better route for the pump out boat. With the consistency of pump outs and things like that, I'm trying to get everybody more confined in areas to where we don't have to run the boat. With the cost of fuel and everything else going up, it's just costing us more to run things. So we're trying to do the best economical routes that we can in order to save fuel and time on the water. Moving on with that, we've been doing a lot of research in the area, and basically with other marinas and where we stand. Our reputation has turned around to being not a desirable to a desirable marina. We're seeing numbers now that we've never pushed before. Right now, we've got 63 boats in the field as of today. This time last year, our max was 37. So we're doubling in what we're having now. Basically, we went around and reviewed what services marinas are providing and the cost of those services, all right? So what we've come down to is we're at the lower end of the spectrum. We're charging less than most of the marinas and offering more than most of the marinas are offering. Our customer service is above most of the marinas that you can get into, I would say mooring fields that you have been able to access at this time. So doing the research in that, and then with the cost of everything else going up, we're going to have to make a change with the rates. The rates haven't been adjusted since. I don't think we've even found a record of when the rates were last adjusted. Do you know the time, like how many years?
It's been several.
Several years? Okay, so yeah, upon reviewing that, we've been trying to figure out what the best route of rate increase would be. With the cost of fuel, with the cost of living and everything else, we've got a 36% in Fort Myers is the rate increase of living that happened last year. All right, so with us, what we've been looking at a 32% increase for field rates, which will put our monthly rate at $412 a month, moving it up exactly $100 up. That's what we're looking at now, and we're also investigating parking, seeing if we can increase the parking from $25 to $35 for monthly parking passes. Now, with those passes, those are coincide with the lease on file. If there's a month lease on file, it's a month parking pass. If it's a 6-month lease on file, it's a 6-month parking pass. That is, that coincides with basically $35 every time they have to re-up. So that's how that works. Moving on with that, we've talked to Roger and everything else. Basically, the other expenses we have to worry about is electricity, water, fuel, insurance, and we're also taking on employees' expenditures that we've never experienced before. The field has never really had a full-time employee designated to the mooring field. Even when I was running the mooring field and also running the beach crew, my salary was split at that time. Now that I've moved over to I moved over to the maritime division, my salary is now 100% in maritime, and that's reflecting in the budget. So all of this is accumulated into, we are coming in under, and basically we're trying to relieve the tax burden on the people. We no longer want this mooring field to be a drain on the town or the taxpayers. So we've been reviewing our practices and what we do, and we feel these numbers are going to be the best to sustain the services, and not only sustain, but to move forward with achieving more services. If we want to move Wi-Fi in the field, if we want to better what we do have, it's going to cost money. Everything else in the town is going up. The cost of, you guys are well aware of the cost of living and everything going up, and we have not touched our rates in several years. So something needs to be done. The number that the staff is working on right now is a $100 increase for the monthly rates, and that will trickle down to a 32% across the board, so it will be added to the weekly and daily rates as well.
When we did when we looked at this before, and I know Bob and Sam were on the committee then, we had a graph of who you looked at and what they were charging for all of the things. Do you have that information for us?
Yeah, we do have a,
Because I'd like to see who we're looking at, how, if we're comparing ourselves to an actual physical marina with docks, that's not what we should be doing. We should be looking at the mooring fields around the state and comparing ourselves with what they're charging.
yeah, so everything that we have studied is municipality mooring fields.
Okay?
We did not do anything that does not relate to us.
Sure.
So basically, yeah, we did.
I just wondered if you had a graph of what they're charging monthly, daily, what they
We
provide.
can put something together.
I'd like to see that before we kind of make a recommendation.
We had something before, you probably could look back and update.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we did this before, and it's been before COVID, so it's probably 3-4 years at least that we've looked at that.
Okay, so yeah, so what we did look at was Jensen Beach Mooring Field, Boot Key Marathon, City of Key West Mooring Field, St. Pete Mooring Field, Sarasota Bay Mooring Field, Verdo Beach Mooring Field, Sunset Bay Marina, and Anchorage, Fort Myers Yacht Basin, are the 8 that we did look at, okay?
Yep.
Another factor is that, considering the marinas, I've called around a few marinas, there is absolutely no availability for slips at marinas. That wouldn't be the price thing, but as far as the demand.
Yes, that's what we're coming across as well. That's why we are seeing an influx in wet storage in our mooring field as well. We're getting a lot of requests just for people to come and store boats at this time.
Right.
So, Jason Freeman for the record, Public Works. Like Austin said, we're in the middle of budgeting for next year. As far as we've been cracking some numbers here, Austin's been doing a cost comparison across different mooring fields, kind of just to see where we're at compared to all the other public mooring fields out there within Florida. We are still anticipating the general revenue to help support the mooring field up to a point. But from what the numbers that we've put together, it seems that if we can increase around that $100 from $312 to $412, we believe that that would be enough to not only maintain the level of service that we're doing, but continue to match that with the expansion. We're currently working on that construction contract agreement to do those 19 additional mooring systems. Hopefully in the next, starting very soon. We're anticipating as soon as we get that construction contract agreement together and fully executed. But in order to maintain that level of service that we hope to continue with, the numbers that we found have been close to that 32%, which would put us essentially, where were we thinking here?
With the parking increases.
With the parking increase, correct.
Are you able to do that just unilaterally, or does that have to go through parking? Because that's the rate that they charge like, I have a parking pass for $25 a year.
For the residents.
Yes.
The fee schedule comes before council as part of the budget process.
Okay,
And that's August.
and that would be,
Starting now, so.
yeah, that would be for everybody's parking, perhaps, not just the mooring
All
field.
fees in the town come to us on a fee schedule with the budget.
Gotcha, okay.
Will we have time in between when you first start it to when you actually vote on it
Yes.
to recommend?
We are in discussions, though, with parking to see if that does have to coincide with parking, to
Okay.
answer your questions.
Okay.
But we are discussing that to see if that's a separate revenue that we can determine our own fee schedule on that.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So we're working on
Austin,
it.
assuming, the town goes with the rate increase of that about 32%, bringing it up to 412, where would that fall? We haven't seen your research, but about where would that fall amongst the others? Would we then still be lower, or would we be above them, or?
So the highest we found was $550 a month, and the lowest we found was $250 a month. Okay?
We'll have to compare the amenities and the locations and.
Yeah. And the $550 a month has been condemned. That was St. Pete.
I don't think there's balls in there anymore.
Yeah, that's why I say it's been condemned down.
There haven't been for several years.
Okay.
So we would anticipate that raising up to around that $412 would put us in the mid to high tier range, but still not at the extreme end of either side there. But the main priority for us is just trying to make sure that we can ensure the level of service and staffing that we anticipate and believe that we need to operate this mooring field, especially with the improvements, with the strategic plan objectives, and the expansion that's hopefully happening pretty soon here. We just want to make sure that we're still creating the best level of service and staffing that we can do. So I think we're anticipating right now that we would probably need to have close to around $186,000 increase, just because Austin's salary was not fully budgeted for last year, as well as put the potential for full staffing to operate the mooring field if we want to keep, the level of service of opening 7 days a week. Potentially, if we're looking into adjusting the hours, expanding the hours, that sort of thing. We just want to be prepared on the budgetary end to have the revenue to be able to support that and keep up that level.
Can we also,
Excuse me. So basically, but what I'm hearing you say is you've got to raise the rate to cover the cost that you project and the level of service you project.
Correct.
So that makes sense.
can we also project the future income from the new portion of the field to offset some of that?
Yes, that is correct. We've
Yeah.
got to run the numbers under different scenarios based upon if we do open the field, and then different staffing scenarios as well. If we were go to like 3 part-time compared to 2 full-time, compared to 1 part-time, we do have different scenarios set up, and if you want, I guess we could prepare those as well.
Any other questions on that part? Do you have anything more on that? Or,
No, yeah, that concludes the staff report. If you do have any questions?
I have a question in that we were talking in the last meeting, and I requested that we used to get inspection reports for the mooring balls. I went back and I have one from 2019. I have one from 2018, a maintenance log, and also this mooring one from 2015 where you had the conditions of the
Yeah, very good.
balls.
Yeah.
Do you have
Yeah,
those
yeah,
still?
we still upkeep those records, and
That's-
actually, we use those and update those records there.
Because would like to get a copy of those, to see
Absolutely.
where we stand with that.
Yeah, I would be more than happy to share that with you.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work we put into those. and-
I know, well, I was thinking you probably still have it,
Yeah.
have the graph, and I just went back in my file and found those couple instances of it. But it was helpful for us to see what conditions the balls are in and what you guys are doing, so
Okay.
if you can send us that, that would be great.
I think, just other than that, I know that we put out a poll. I'm still catching up on everything that Chelsea, left for me here and continuing on with it. I know that we put out a poll to potentially get some public input on the hours that would be preferred for down at the mooring field office. I'm not sure, did you guys get those results yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I'll check and see how many responses we got and what
Was
what
this
it
from the
was.
people that are in the field?
I believe
Or was
so.
it from just public?
I think it was.
Or
a
both.
public
I
poll.
think it was just a public. I know we were asking at Cruisers Appreciation Day. I think
Yes.
that they were asking
I
and
do
doing a poll
remember
there. So I'll get those numbers and see if that preference has changed again, just with planning for next year on hours of operation, staffing, that sort of thing. And then just want to give a quick update on that mooring field expansion. Council did approve and authorize Roger to negotiate and execute a contract to install some of those mooring systems. So we're in the middle of talking with the contractor now, so we should have a contract executed here, we're hoping very soon, and then I'll give you an update there at the next meeting of, if we haven't started already, when we're planning on starting that expansion, so.
As I recall, when we were here in April, you were just going to put up signage in the field, right?
Correct.
Signage has been completed.
And so it's been
Correct.
completed and people are, not yet.
I couldn't get close enough. Exactly what does that sign say?
It just says, "Welcome to Matanzas Pass Mooring Field. Please, there's no trespassing. Please call this number." This is basically all it says, yeah.
Okay.
I can get you a picture of
So
it.
we're preparing to tell them to leave at some point.
Yeah, so that's what Jason and I are working on now, is pretty much an attack plan to get the people notified that that is now a controlled area. We've got to get a plan with the sheriff's department to get on board to assist us in enforcing anything. We've just got to meet with the legalities and see what the legalities are to vacating that area. So we've got to meet with the sheriff's department and set that up, which we haven't yet, but it's something on the list that we are going to do.
The signage was the first thing. How about any delinquencies?
Delinquencies now are kind of resolving themselves with the deposits. We are having failed payments come through because credit cards and debit cards out of state, the bank will start flagging them for fraud and things like that. So we've been seeing a lot of the failed payments going through, but as soon as we make the call and things like that, we've been having them resolved. There is an issue where we have had consecutive failed payments, and we have notified a gentleman actually of today that he needs to vacate the field because this is an ongoing process and it's costing us revenue and resources to follow up every month and trying to get him to pay his bill. So things like that. With the waiting list and how we're conducting ourselves, it's no longer, we're hurting for people to come in. We can select who comes into the field.
Anything else?
Yeah, a little unrelated, Jason.
Sure.
Last meeting, we were going to try to inquire about a refund for the food truck. Did Chelsea pass that on to you, or is that just?
So
due for next year?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Vaguely remember. I do know that from what I can tell, the town did end up paying, I believe, $1,400 total to the vendor.
And we shouldn't have.
But I can double check on the specifics there. That's the only that's the total number I can tell that was paid out. But I can see what was supposed to be under that.
Well, because there was some discrepancy, and I was going to kind of talk about that in Cruisers Appreciation Day, but we
Okay.
might as well do it right now. About, she claimed that they claimed there was 100 meals.
Okay.
And our calculation was 73 that we should have been responsible for.
Okay.
Which is half of 14, or half of 140, which we paid for. And so there was, some real discrepancy there about what the town should have paid for and what we should have paid for. And I asked her, did we count the tickets? And I never got an answer for that.
Okay, yeah.
Because we
unfortunately.
were supposed to count, we can't
Yeah.
do that now, obviously.
Right.
But we were supposed to only pay for the ones that the tickets came in for. And there were only 73 tickets out there. 'Cause-
And
So,
not only did they run out of food, or the preferred food, they also failed to deliver they did not deliver the surplus meals to,
yeah, that was supposed to happen.
to town hall,
I
to
mean,
employees or somebody.
Even if they
Anybody,
served
charity,
100, we
anybody.
should have gotten 40 meals. We should have
To
gotten
give away to something.
something. And that never happened. So we were trying to figure out, did we really pay? So what you're saying is we paid the whole bill.
As far as, yeah, unfortunately, I don't know the specifics with it, but I did get finance to run a report there, and they did say that I believe it was at $1,400
Well, 'cause
was paid out to Brooks.
I was gonna find, and I think I have it, if I can, I don't know that I have it with me today, but there was a contract that we signed with them that said how much we were paying them. I don't think I have it now. Anyway,
Yeah, I'll find out as well.
but, it's kind of hard to really do anything about it now, I guess. I think we really got taken for a ride with them.
But they do a lot of business they've been to several other events with the town.
Yeah. Anyway, because I got what you sent me, because we did $210 a new banner. We got the new banner and the permitting, obviously, we have to do. Well, it's something to consider if we decide to do it next year, that I think there's some things, this was a new thing, new venue, new everything. So,
Well, maybe next time we just say, at the end of the day, you turn in your ticket.
Yeah.
And that's all you're getting. And so-
well, we need, yeah, I live and learn. I think we learned a few things that we have to do differently next time if we choose to. And I think the problem was maybe communication, that it was open to the public, so they may have felt like we feed whoever comes up here,
Probably what
And the ticket thing, there was a jug out there that had tickets in it, that
Some in,
anybody
some
could just
not,
take one, and it was not well done. So I think, in any case, we have some things to clean up if we decide to do it next year. But it would be nice to kind of, I don't know if we can do anything now, but it's kind of
Yeah,
several months
I'll look
later.
into it. And I just finance just brought me here the invoice, and it does look like the total was gonna be for 1,400. So for 100 guests, extra 2 hours, and then we paid a $900 deposit on that. So the total was 14.
Okay, so we paid for 100 meals.
Correct.
Okay, so we didn't pay for 140.
Correct. 100 guests, which I'm assuming that's one meal per guest, and then a $100 charge for extra 2 hours for a total of that 1,400.
Well, that's closer to.
That is closer. I feel better about that we didn't pay for 140 meals at least, but the 100 meals was a little generous in any case, but, okay. Well, and the other thing, when you say the extra 2 hours, maybe we didn't have an option to do just one more hour, but we ended up only doing 3 hours. And that's what we had always done before, which seemed to be about the right amount of time. So that's also something to think about in the future. But thank you for getting that. I appreciate it, because that makes me feel a little bit better anyway, that we only paid for 100. So, anything, I think we're done with that. I hope we're done with that. Okay. All right. Thanks, Sam, for bringing that up. Anything more on the staff report?
I believe I'm good on my end.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Strategic plan review. We all have, I think, the last time we worked on it was in February. My question is, we took out several sections, and then the version I have has yellowed completed sections and stuff in it. Do we renumber it, and do we take out the things that we've already done?
I believe that they normally just mark, like, as they are on here, complete.
Yeah.
But if it makes a little bit more sense organizationally, then we can always, hide them or I know there's a benefit to having it on there just to see what you've accomplished
Right.
before, but
Well, some of the ones like, okay, in number one, we have 1, 3, 5, 7. So we took out 2, 4, 6. So
gotcha, okay.
I think some of those were no longer relevant, or,
Maybe we could have a time period where we sunset it, where it stays on there for 3 or 4 months or a couple reports and then it disappears?
I don't know, because we took out several sections that are no longer there already. And I just wondered if we renumber, if we,
Oh, yeah, because we've got.
we've got several that are gone. And some of them were completed, I thought, but some of them were just not relevant anymore. So that was just a question. There's really nothing to work on here. It was just kind of,
Yeah, for relevancy, I mean, we can, if those are just taken out completely, we can renumber those ones, but if you want us to keep, the ones that are just marked as complete as still part of that, we can definitely do that.
yeah. And we have some, well, as always with this, some of the dates are past, but, I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we renumber what's in there and leave the complete in for a while at least?
Yeah, maybe we should leave the complete in for a period of time after it's labeled complete. How often are we gonna revise this?
Well,
Like quarterly, maybe?
yeah, I think we started revising it, maybe, it was a couple years after it was done. When did we do it? What's the date that you have? October
I've got
2020.
November of 2021.
Yeah, I want to say I was still with Public Works at that point, so it
Yeah,
was
2021.
probably 2020, 20.
So, like every year or
Maybe
something?
we should do an
kinda look at it?
annual, an annual cleanup
Yeah.
of
Okay.
all the
Yeah,
old
I
stuff.
was gonna suggest, I think an annual.
Yeah,
but
So we
I think
kinda
for the
start-
year, it's kind of useful to know what you've completed.
right, yeah,
But then update it, like, start fresh every year.
Yep.
Something like that.
well, we kind of started looking at it, I have in February this year, so maybe we, renumber it from where it is and just leave it where it is, and then in February, we'll look at it again.
Okay, so we'll put that on for February, perfect.
Does that sound reasonable
Good idea.
after the first of the year? Okay, so, anything more on that? Anything more on Cruisers Appreciation Day?
We could probably take that off of the.
Yeah, and we can probably, for the next agenda, we don't need to really be talking about it till much later. I think we're done. Now that we kind of have, actually, could you forward us what finance just brought you? So we have that in our records as far as what we paid and all of that. That would be very helpful for us to see. I mean, in general, I think it was a great day. But there are a few things to clean up. I think the venue worked out well, and I just think there's a few things to clean up next
The
time.
time period.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah, the time period was good because everyone stayed for the 3 hours. That was it was plenty long for everybody to stay, even the latecomers
right.
got a chance.
Well, and part of it was we were doing the raffle at the end of the 3 hours, and so people stayed for that. But, okay. Harbor Management Plan. Everybody have a copy of the plan with them that was sent out? Yes. The last meeting in April, Rexanne, were you with us in April?
I don't think I've missed a meeting.
I don't think you have either. I think we didn't have Jason and Chelsea and Austin. You guys came in
I
at
think
the
so, I think, yeah,
beginning
we had to run to something.
and you left. And at that meeting, we looked at the appendices. And I sent notes, Jason, to you, and that didn't get into this, what you sent out to us.
Correct, yeah, this one is the same one.
Same
as-
one.
As before, yep.
Okay. I think Doug was at that meeting. I think Bob was not, is that correct? I don't think you were. I think Ted was, and Sam and I.
And Mike was absent.
Doug. And Mike and Greg were not here. But essentially, the appendix was just kind of working. Do you have those notes?
I do.
Okay. And I wondered if we could get those in for us to look at next time, perhaps. one of the things that we still need to get, we got the numbering system back into the plan, but we need to get it in the table of contents
Okay.
because it's not there. So if we have the Roman numerals and letters back in, we need them in the table of contents.
You make sure everything cross-indexes.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I don't think, I have two plans that say they're amended June 2022, adopted February 3, 2021, and the appendix number, or the table of contents numbers are different in both of them. And they're supposed to be the same thing. So we need to make sure, but that's probably going to change as we go through anyway. Do we want to go back through the appendix now, or just have him put in the changes that we talked about in the last meeting?
Did we make it all the way through last time? I think we.
Just the appendix?
Yeah.
Yeah, is all we did. So do you have those notes then?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. 1, 2, 3, looks like 4.
Appendix 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, yeah. And some of it's just kind of cleaning up some language. In fact, almost all of it is just doing that kind of thing. The other thing that just a general comment, is the idea of taking out the before the harbor master, the renter, and all of that. And I think we had that discussion last time. My issue with it, I guess, is that it's inconsistent in the plan. That sometimes we do the something, and then sometimes we don't. So, Doug, do you have any feeling? I remember you talking a little bit about that last time.
My thought is, number one, just be consistent.
One way or the other.
Personal preference on contracts is once you define, like, the town of Fort Myers Beach, parentheses, FMB or something, then you're consistent throughout, and you don't have to say the,
Right.
but I think you can go either way, really.
Anybody else have I personally like putting it's my personal thing, but I understand what you're saying, that in a lot of contracts, you just say, town says this instead of the town says this, or whatever.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of an example, sort of becomes redundant.
Right.
But there's no reason, I think the number one thing is to be consistent
Yeah.
with all of your terminology in the contract. Once you define, like, the harbor master, then, be consistent all the way through.
Well, it's interesting because, okay, you look on page 4 here, and Doug, I'll give you this. This one's just a clean copy. It doesn't have all the stuff in it, but at least you have a copy. It's the same as here, but just clean with the stuff. For example, at the beginning, it calls the town of Fort Myers Beach the town. Okay, so then every time you do it, should it be the town or should it be town?
We'll see what, I would do a contract, I would say, like, town of Fort Myers Beach, parentheses, town, just
Right.
plain town. And then from then on, just say, town this, town
And like
that.
the
You don't say
mooring
the town.
field,
Yeah,
it says the facility, well, then it should be, if you're gonna leave out the, you have to leave it out in that. Is that
Correct.
correct? Is that what you're saying? And down a couple more paragraphs, it says the town is retaining the harbor master, and then it goes, parentheses, the harbor master. Well, if you want to leave out the, you have to leave out the in the parentheses?
yes.
Okay. Well, because it changes all the way through the document. Sometimes it says the, and sometimes it doesn't. So we need to be consistent, whichever way we go. And I personally like the, I guess Doug doesn't like the, I don't know what other people think about. Bob, you do a lot of contracts and stuff.
Yeah, normally, we want, I'll use a company, let's just say it was Joe's Crab Shack LLC. They would, well, I do it all the time in my company. I'll say RWB instead of the RWB, the whole name.
Right,
So once you said it once,
right,
right behind that, like he said, you put in parentheses the initials, just RWB. Then throughout the whole
Right.
rest of it, you never say the whole thing again. You just do the parentheses RWB
right.
for whatever you're abbreviating. So
Correct.
town could be the same thing.
Right. Well, and they do that essentially, but then sometimes they say the town and sometimes they say town. So,
Well,
However we're gonna do it.
My personal thing, I've never been much on grammar. I wasn't good in English. As long as the point gets across, I
Okay.
could care less what it says.
okay. It just needs to be consistent
Yeah.
whichever way.
Yeah.
All right.
Some,
I think
some
consistency
things-
is the main thing.
Some things go with, like, the town of Fort Myers Beach is a conversational, whereas DEP, the DEP, like DEP is conversationally, you normally don't say the DEP, you just say, you know, so certain ones conversationally are different, but we should be consistent.
Right. Okay. Having said that, all right. Well, how about we jump in again, other than those kind of two things which are kind of general. We need to get the Roman numerals back in the contents, and then I'm not sure we have to really redo the numbers on the table of contents until we're finished in here, because they may change. But at least the Roman numerals and stuff, they are back in the actual document plan. Page 4, we've done a lot of changes in there. Doug doesn't have all the reds and blues, but we've done a lot of cleaning up in there. I guess actually, once we get the clean copy like that, we'll have to go through and make sure the punctuations and stuff, but that's kind of, again, at the end. And I am kind of a stickler for grammar and stuff, sorry, Bob. Anyway.
That's okay. I won't know if you're right or wrong.
In the third paragraph down, where it's, the town is retaining the harbor master duties and responsibilities, I think there's then it says the town's harbor master, again, that's redundant. Because you've already defined harbor master, so, I think that second sentence should say, harbor master will manage registration and upland facilities for the facility,
Correct. Yeah,
because you've already defined it, correct?
yeah, that's how I would do it, yeah.
So, we just say harbor master will manage. Anybody have any problem with that? It's a cleanup thing.
Remove the parentheses and.
Yeah, you don't need the parentheses, just harbor master without quotes and parentheses. Do you think as we're going through, we've got it right here, should we, the first paragraph, should we take out just the town and put town? And here, take out the harbor master in parentheses and put harbor master? And just do it that way and take out all the thes? As we go through?
That's
As a
how I would do it
suggestion?
personally, yeah.
I have no problem.
Bob? What do you think?
Yeah, it doesn't
Okay.
matter to me.
We might as well do that, like in the first, and the facility up there in the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Because they do that in the second paragraph. They've taken out, they put plan, it's just plan, there's no the plan. So. Okay. Well, they do that in the next in the next thing too. In the fourth paragraph, they have the DEP and the COE, but we don't need those thes either.
No.
Are you making notes?
Yep.
I just wanted,
And if you find any place where you think it changes the meaning, just highlight
yeah,
it. But it doesn't look
Scream
like
at
it's
us.
going to change it doesn't look like it's going to change the meaning.
okay. Anybody else have anything else on page 4?
I would just offer, it doesn't really matter for the contract, but normally Army Corps of Engineers is like ACOE, and FDE, Florida Department of Environmental Protection is, you see a lot as FDEP.
Okay.
Just consistent with a lot of other documents I look
Okay,
at,
so we have FDEP,
and ACOE,
ACOE,
or
instead of what we have all the way through
instead
the
of
document.
COE and
Okay.
DEP.
And that should be all the way through the contract?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that? Well, you've got that at the next, on the next page. You got the DEP needs to be changed and the COE. Okay. In number 2, under Harbor Master, does anybody have anything before number 2 under Harbor Master that they saw? Towards the end of that statement, well, and again, we've got all the thes, if we just taking out permits, the permits, and you've got DEP and C and Corps of Engineers in there too. It's the last sentence where it says the harbor master may formally delegate certain authority. Do we need formally, or is it just enough to say the harbor master may delegate certain authority? That's,
If you might want to say delegate in writing or have some, I mean, I don't know if the intent is
used-
he could just,
it is later in writing.
yeah. So that, I think you could just say delegate authority. If you'd have, later you explain,
In writing is formally,
yeah.
Yeah, it says,
it's described.
right, the harbor master may, and take out the formally, just say, the harbor master may delegate certain authority as well as duties and responsibilities in, it says later, in writing or via email
Yeah.
to other, now, I also have a question about the full-time, because he can delegate that authority to anybody.
Yeah, I'd say any employee.
And I don't think full-time should be in there, because right now, we're having that staffing issue
agree.
right now. To me, this document needs to be so that you can have some flexibility in what you do. And if you put full-time in there, then that means it's always got to be a full-time person. So I would take full-time out, just to other employees of town.
I agree.
They have to be a town employee, but they can be another, they don't have to be full-time. Because we have part-time people working at the office, and they have some of the responsibilities. Does that make sense? So take out the formally, because it does say in writing or email,
Take out formally, take out full-time.
okay? All right. Anything else? In the, let's see, is it number 4, the harbor master? I'm down kind of towards the end of that as well. I have a concern about part of this sentence, and I think we need to kind of look at it, or this paragraph, because we're talking about the harbor master moving boats. And I'm concerned about the response, it essentially says, whenever the harbor master moves a boat, for whatever reason, the owner is responsible if it gets damaged. And that's kind of what this is saying, whether it's an emergency or not. Now, if it's an emergency, I mean, I don't think we should be getting into the thing about moving boats around if it's not an emergency. I think and then saying, oh, we damaged your boat and you pay for it.
The other thing.
I have a real problem with that.
Has the attorney for the town reviewed this already? I mean, based on before, we're cleaning up stuff and we're changing, did the attorneys look at this and say, yes, this document is fine and it's okay?
I'm not sure if he's looked at this copy of it, but I believe that he's, the
past.
formally approved harbor management plans, I believe that they've.
In the past, they have to, before it goes to DEP.
So, but I'm not
I
sure
don't
if-
think they have until we're done with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Chelsea's provided him a draft version or not, but.
Yeah.
But I guess my point is, if the attorneys looked at this and what's in here now is obviously acceptable to them, you know, I don't know.
I don't think they've
It's up
looked
to
at
us
it
to
yet
make
until
any
we're done.
changes.
They haven't looked at it till we're done.
This would be something to highlight, because that can't be absolute, because if we have negligence.
It isn't.
Yeah, if we have negligence.
You can't override legal liability
And
in
negligence
your
and
plan.
stuff like that, right?
The
Yeah.
court decides who's
Right.
ultimately responsible, no matter what. It's like when you walk into a movie theater and they say not responsible for lost articles, just because they posted on the sign doesn't mean they are. So the same thing with your plan. You can't override legal liability.
Right. And negligence would probably override that.
Well, I think we really need to do a real deep looking at this section here.
Even though the attorney's going to look at it all, maybe we could send some notes for questionable things. Like that would definitely be one of them that he would have to, make sure that he looked into the detail of.
Well, at least it's my reading that, I mean, the way I read this, and maybe you guys have a different thought with this, is that we're putting it in that the harbor master can move the boats for more reasons than an emergency. I really don't think we should be getting into that. And that we're not responsible for damage. And I think there are reasons why you would move a boat. If it's sinking, if it's running into somebody else's boat, those are emergency situations. And somebody's gonna have to if the owner's not around. I mean, you just have to.
Maybe we should just suggest that read for emergency purposes, period. Leave everything else out, and then the attorney can decide if he wants to add any other reasons in there.
Well, this paragraph is, I mean, we're talking about,
Safety,
well,
failure
because
to vacate,
the problem that we're
violation,
reassigning a mooring, that statement is in there, that he can move it for reassigning a mooring, and I don't think we should be doing that.
Well, and that's why I say, just take all that out and just leave the word emergency reasons, period.
Maybe
You don't
something
have to
real
def-
simple
You
that,
don't have to define it or whatever, that would be up to,
the harbor master's authorized to relocate a boat in an emergency situation, period.
Yep.
And then, the emergency can be debated, but
Well, because I don't
Leaves it
think a
open.
reassignment of a mooring is an emergency situation. I mean, I just don't want us to be getting into doing that.
or maybe some language like, at the harbor master's discretion, he is authorized to move boats in an emergency situation, period. Something like that.
well, then that should also be put in the lease that people sign and the
Yeah.
rental agreement.
Well, a
Correct,
lot of this
yeah.
goes into the lease. If you look at the lease, it almost verbatim, because we're going to have to redo the lease too, verbatim goes from this plan.
Maybe this plan should be like an attachment to the lease.
Well, it essentially takes a lot of the language from this into the lease. I don't know that, there is a lease attached here, and you can go down and it really takes a lot of that into it. So that's something we have to redo too. Well, I don't know what to do with this right now. I think we need to look at it, and maybe you guys can come up with how we should word it.
It's really hard because each case maybe
Yeah,
might not fit the,
okay. I think we need to keep working on this section, because I don't like the way it is. I have concerns about it. But to your point, Rexanne, essentially, we can say that you're saying, even if we would say this statement about it's the owner's responsibility, it doesn't matter.
That's correct.
Judge is gonna decide.
Judge, somebody could still sue for damages
And
and
that's
win or
why-
lose.
And that's why an attorney would probably leave it in, because the attorney's job is to protect the town.
Right,
So they're always going to leave in language that protects the town, even if it wouldn't necessarily hold up in court.
got it, okay. All right. Okay, well, let's keep working on that, see if we can find a solution on that one. I'm not,
I agree, that is kind of a problematic paragraph, though, that needs work.
so keep working. I need to probably make a note for myself here. What is that? That's number 4. work. Okay, 5. Keep my pages straight, all right. In service provider, which is on page 6, I think for people, it's the next one. In the first sentence, I'm not sure we should put, it says the town may contract with a service provider who will be responsible for providing certain, and we put in leased upland amenities. I'm wondering why we would put in leased. Why it wouldn't be just enough for providing certain amenities.
That would be leased and unleased.
It could be.
Cover everything.
Yeah, just,
I mean, again, I want to make it so that, I mean, does that mean you always have to lease amenity? Not necessarily.
I think if you leave it out, that would cover
I
every.
mean, you can
every
lease them or
amenity.
not. So it would read, who will be responsible for providing certain amenities per the submerged land lease requirements? So you have to have whatever amenities those are to operate a municipal mooring field. Now, this next part, what I have in mind says, I think it's an incomplete sentence. A municipal mooring field may,
Include.
but there,
It should be.
it should
say
set that, it should say that may include restroom facilities, showers. But mine only says a municipal mooring field may restroom facilities. That's what my version says, is
it needs to
that
be,
way.
it's an incomplete sentence.
Yeah, so we should, somebody took out that may include, somebody already took that out. So I think we should have a municipal mooring field that may include,
I would
restroom
suggest
facilities.
start a new sentence and say, these amenities may include.
could do that too.
Say, you talk about amenities, and then start a new sentence to say, these amenities may include restroom facilities, showers, laundry facilities, office space, or other such amenities as may be blah, blah, blah.
May want to, but are not limited to also.
Okay, so do we want to end the sentence at operate a municipal mooring field, period? And then what do we want to do after that?
These amenities,
These amenities may include? Is that what we want to do?
I think we might want to put not limited to also, because we have parking, we may have other items.
Okay, so these amenities may include but are not limited to?
or you could.
But the word may just says may.
Yeah.
That's true. It wouldn't have to, yeah.
I mean, it,
May include, that's
it's
fine.
just, it doesn't say,
You're right. It doesn't have to put not limited to, no.
okay, so,
I must be looking at the.
Or you could just say, or other services.
Mine says the town may contract with a service provider who will be responsible for providing certain leased upland amenities that may include but are not limited to restroom, laundry, blah, blah, blah.
You're looking at a different version.
you're looking at, because he sent out
It
a,
sounds like you're saying the same thing that's in this version already.
what version do you have on your
I don't know.
cover?
Yeah, that's an old one.
February.
Yeah, because he sent out a new version, and I sent one out in April, too.
February 3rd, 21.
Okay, so, the town may contract with a service provider who will be with a service provider who will be responsible for providing certain upland amenities per the submerged land lease requirements to operate a municipal mooring field, period. These amenities may include restroom facilities, et cetera.
Yes.
And then you were gonna add, but not limited.
Well, but
Don't need.
okay, the original thing said, these will include but are not limited to restroom facilities, showers, laundry facilities, and office space. And actually, will include but are not limited to, I think we should still have.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is,
Because actually, the amenities that are listed here, except for office space, have to be there anyway.
yeah, they're required, right?
They're required
So
by
then
the
they-
submerged land lease.
Then I
So
think we should stay
I
the
think we
ones
should
that
say,
will be
these
required.
amenities will include but are not limited to. I think we should go back to that. I don't know why,
Restroom facilities, showers, and laundry facilities.
yeah,
Leave off office space, just list the ones that are actually required by the agreement
yeah.
with the FDP.
The office space was, well, we can take out the office space. It was added in, I don't think that was in the original one. But they have to have restroom facilities, showers, laundry, they have to have trash, which is not listed here, but it doesn't really matter.
I would list the ones that are actually required.
Well, and I'm trying to think about if laundry is required. I'm not sure it is. That's where we get in the issue with that.
That's why in the old one where it said will include, that was changed,
Right, but are not,
may
Yeah.
include, but are not limited.
well, maybe we should leave in the may include, but not limited to.
Yeah, why lock yourself in? It's
Okay.
kind of a living, breathing.
All right, so the amenities may include but are not limited to, and leave what's there. How about that?
Okay.
All right. The amenities may include but are not limited to, and the ones that are listed through office space, period. Okay? You guys,
Yep, end of paragraph.
end of paragraph. And then the rest of it's all crossed off. Anything, okay. Anything in the next section? Vessel registration. We had a couple different things added in here, and they conflict. And I understand why they're added in there, but they conflict. If you get down to the second paragraph, or second sentence, vessels that enter the facility after business hours must register with the harbor master by 10 a.m. local time the next morning, the following morning. Then it says vessel owners or authorized operators desiring to moor in the facility must notify the harbor master and execute a rental agreement within 24 hours of tying off. Those are two different things.
We have to pick one.
We have to pick one. So, because they're different. I mean, one says 10 a.m. the next morning, and the other one says within 24 hours. So, I'm not sure what we do with that. The original one on the beginning said first thing the following morning, and then the other one was 24 hours. So in some ways, it was already conflicting a bit.
I would suggest the first sentence,
The
by 10 a.m., is that reasonable?
Yeah. But then the next one doesn't make sense because,
Delete the next one.
well, the one sentence is when they're tying up after business hours. And then the other one, they must notify the harbor master and execute a rental agreement. I mean, because that's during business hours.
Kathy, hasn't all this changed because of DACWA, though? That we don't necessarily notify the harbor master. DACWA is the one that gets notified, isn't it?
But they through DACWA, they notify, and they have to contact the harbor master when they get here, in any case. Am I correct?
Through DACWA, correct, yeah.
But through DACWA, they don't do it by radio?
I believe that they can, but I know that they do have to
Or
register through
telephone?
DACWA as well. And, yeah,
Right.
So they can call the Mooringfield office, and I believe the current process is that they're gonna refer them to DACWA and put in their information, make sure the insurance registered,
Right.
all that sort of thing, and then let them know. But I think the emphasis on this one is just if they're coming in, after the office is closed, or they're still putting in Aqua. The priority, I think, is just that next morning, they need to get registered and execute that agreement with the town, or their rental agreement with the mooring field.
Right. Well, I guess my problem is the last sentence. I perfectly agree. First of all, they should have already done it by DACWA by 10 o'clock in the morning. So I have no problem with that one, but it's the second one that is, I'm not sure what to do with it.
Should it just be deleted?
Well, they're two different things, though. The first one is they come in after hours. The other one is that they're coming in
At any time,
at any time during office hours or whatever.
or off hours.
So, I mean, can you enter the mooring field and tie off and then have 24 hours to execute an agreement?
You're actually not supposed to tie off to a ball without doing
Without
a
an
rental
agreement.
agreement.
That's what I
and
was
getting a
thinking.
ball first. The first one is, the first one where they come in after hours, they do that. And so then they're supposed to do it, and they may not stay on that ball.
Right, so
perhaps.
if
They may be reassigned.
Attached to a mooring system, and then, if they need to move, then when they execute that agreement, then that's when Austin give them the assignment for where that needs to be.
Correct.
So
The other one is they're coming in during office hours, and I'm not sure how I think we need something there, but I'm not sure what that is.
I wonder if like one of the other mooring fields, what they say for their vessel registration, what kind of wording they might have on there.
Yeah. I don't know.
Good idea. Someone, maybe we should copy or look at other people that are using DACWA, what they have in their language.
Well, yeah. Well, realistically, on this last sentence, they're supposed to execute a rental agreement before they tie off to a ball.
That's what I'm thinking.
Correct.
And so this, within 24 hours of tying off to a ball, they're not supposed to be doing that. They're supposed, of course, I always think this is interesting because these people don't know what this says until they get here. Which is like, but maybe that should read, vessel owners or authorized operators desiring to moor in the facility must notify the harbor master and execute a rental agreement before tying off to a mooring ball, prior to they're supposed to, aren't they?
Right, yeah, unless they're coming after hours, so I think having.
And so the after hours is already there. This one, they're supposed to do it before they
assignment
come,
before they-
right? Isn't that what they're supposed to do? So maybe we should take out prior to tying off to a mooring ball.
Execute a
And just
rental
say-
agreement.
They,
Now, some people can't really do that because if they don't have a computer, they can't. So then they're in violation of this if we put that in there.
I think as long as we keep the, registering with the harbor master, whether that's, on the phone or the VHF, and then that way they can at least get the assignment, and then they can work on filling out their registration and executing their rental agreement. But at least making sure that the harbor master is aware of, giving that assignment.
Well, and they're supposed to notify the harbor
Correct.
master. Okay. Maybe what we should do then, desiring to moor in the facility must notify the harbor master prior to tying off to a mooring ball and execute a rental agreement within the first 24 hours, within 24 hours.
That makes sense.
How about that?
yeah, that sounds better, yeah.
Because, as I said, not everybody has access to DACWA, and they always help. I know part of it is they have computers there that they can help people that don't have it, a computer.
Yeah.
So, must notify the harbor master prior to tying off to a mooring ball and then execute a rental agreement within 24 hours. How about that?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And I'll confirm with Austin on what the actual practice is right now, but I believe that would fall.
Would be okay? Yeah. Because as I said, I think the others, that works better, I think, for the people that are coming in overnight and then, okay. Done. Anything else on that? Anybody see anything else on, that's page 6 for me, mooring rental agreement. How far do we want to go in this?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave. I've got 5 things happening right now at my company over there at the park, and none of it was expected.
Okay. Do we have to have a quorum to work on this, Rexanne?
No,
Because we're not voting yet.
right.
Okay. So we can work on it a little bit more. and
Sure.
then- before Bob goes, I am traveling probably in July. And I don't know about August. August is kind of iffy for me, too.
I'm gone almost most of July,
Okay.
so I won't be at the.
And I know Mike is traveling, so
Do you want to do August? Do you want to skip July and do August? Is there anything?
I can try to do August. I think I can.
Right now, I'm good.
I don't have any plans except early July.
Okay.
Um,
Are you here in August, Bob?
It'd be August
Maybe.
17th.
Well, see, mine is kind of maybe, too.
Yeah,
August 17th. I'm planning on being here, but do you want to definitely
But we definitely want to
skip July? Okay.
So, I mean, we can go to September if, I mean, we can try for August and then if
Is there any deadline as far as budgeting and things that we need to get to the town if we do skip July and August?
You may be bumping up against the budgetary process about giving a recommendation on the fee schedule, because we vote in September on the fee schedules.
Correct.
let's try for August then.
okay.
Okay.
And
that-
if we can't, we can't, that's
August-
just the
August
way it is.
17th.
What would be really good is if people cannot, like Bob and me, I know Mike is out of town until like August or October or something. I don't know about Greg and I don't know about Ted. But for people to get to Jason so he can say, well, XX can't be here.
Right.
And,
Or if you end up moving the meeting back or however we need to do, you
Yeah.
guys can always make it work, yeah.
okay, let's try for August then. Thanks, Bob.
That would be
Alright,
the only
yeah.
important thing, right? Rexanne is getting.
Apologize, I
stuff
have
for
to
the budget.
run.
And if you don't give a recommendation, the town will go ahead and vote on
Yeah, I
it,
know.
no matter what. So
And they don't have to take our
If you don't really
recommendation
care.
anyway.
staff will probably,
Correct.
recommend the increase.
Well, I would say certainly, I don't know if a 30-some% increase is where we need to go. I mean, it's probably likely, but an increase, we probably need to, because we haven't done anything for a long time. And when we did increase, I think we didn't increase a whole lot.
It was very
It
minimal.
was very minimal. And we were kind of towards the lower end, so I think we're definitely due for something in any case. Well, let's maybe work another 15 minutes-ish. And so, okay. It's on page 7 for me. The end of this rules and regulations governing the mooring rental agreement. It's under number 1. And we have the transient, the weekly, and the monthly rentals. Okay, it says transient. Is that what it's called in our agreement or the fee schedule? Is it called a daily rate?
I think it refers to daily.
Maybe we should have daily here
It seems like daily would be a better word.
rather than transient. Anybody have an issue with that? If that's what it's called in our fee schedule, I think that because we have a daily, weekly, and monthly rate, right? So I think that should be daily.
Yeah, that would be more consistent.
The monthly, we've added maximum 6 months, 4 weeks to 6 months. Now, my issue with that is that we have wet storage boats that stay, the contract is for 6 months, and then you renew it if you're not living on the boat. So 4 weeks to 6 months, I'm not sure we need the maximum in there. That word.
Yeah, because they, 4 weeks to 6 months, and then
And then you have to renew your
you have to renew anyway, so I don't see that you need the word maximum either.
Right. It's just 4 weeks to 6 months, and then the rest of it is fine. So I wouldn't add that, just 4 weeks to 6 months is. I think the maximum, I mean, somebody, whoever put that in there was thinking, then they have to leave, but wet storage boats don't have to leave.
They just have to renew
They have to renew, which is pretty much done. So I would not put that in there. Are we doing late fees, Jason? Are we
I-
trying to?
I believe so, and I think, like Austin said too, we're holding the deposits, holding people accountable for those as well now.
Okay.
Even with like the little fob, you know, those replacements, all that sort of thing. So I know they've been working on really getting into collecting those deposits for the monthlies, and then if for some reason, you know, we need to take anything out of that or late fees, that sort of thing, I believe that they're working on that.
Okay.
Do we need to define late fees? Like
think
a late fee of 10% of the rent or something?
I think it's
think
in
it's
the
in
fee
here.
schedule, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
if it's
not
in the,
Five,
if it's in the
yeah.
fee schedule, okay.
Yeah.
Might be on the lease.
It was in here at one time, which has been taken out, a
Okay.
fee, a late fee of $5
That's
a
$5,
day.
yeah.
But that's crossed off in here, because it says, it's added, late fees will be assessed on a per-day basis as in the schedule, which is the fee schedule, which can change.
Yeah.
This is just.
Yeah.
And
That
that's
makes,
the one that's
that
getting
makes
approved by
sense.
council with those 2 public
Right,
hearings. Yeah, it's-
because then technically you can up it or lower it or change it without changing this plan, correct?
Agree.
Anything else on that issue? Okay. Okay. The next one, that the next paragraph of security deposits, somebody added the harbor master, this is the second sentence. The harbor master has the sole authority to use any portion of the renter's security deposit. Why not just say the harbor master has the authority? Does somebody else have the authority, or is that the only person that can use it? Or can,
How about,
I believe it's the harbor master.
and that's the only person that can have the authority to use the security deposit?
The only thing I could think is maybe they're thinking, you know, the finance department, they can process that. I'm not sure why the sole.
I'm not sure why you would put sole. I mean, the harbor master has the authority.
Right.
I mean, is there another person that could use it? Is my point, I guess.
Right, and I don't believe so.
having the authority and sole authority kind of mean the same thing, it seems like.
Well, when you say sole authority, that's the only person that can.
Right.
But my question is, there's somebody else that can? But I don't know.
Should we use the word just after that, use any portion of the renter's security deposit, or just use a portion up to 100% or something like that?
The harbor master has the primary authority?
Well, I think it's okay just to say it has the authority unless,
I wouldn't add the
And that leaves
sole.
it open in case somebody else, like an attorney or somebody else, it gets
Yeah.
in on it. Do you want
Well,
to
if
just cross off sole?
I would.
Okay.
okay,
Use any portion means they can use 100% or they can use 10%. If you just leave in the word any. If you say a portion, then you have to define what that is.
Yeah.
And any could mean 100% or 10 or 1.
okay, Yeah,
I think.
up
Yeah,
to
any-
100%.
Yeah. Read or often caused by, okay. All right. They added some letters back in there. I didn't really see anything, the rest of the page. Did anybody else see anything?
Lot of those.
A lot of those, so, I mean, if we're gonna go through and not have those, then there's a lot of that to do, but, Now, I gave Doug my clean copy from this copy. I like both, and eventually it's nice to have a clean copy, because you can actually really read it. It's sometimes hard to read this, but are both of them generated by you then, when you're putting in all
Yeah,
of these?
so it's just displaying the change, the track changes versus, the clean copy, so we can have
think
both of
you-
those provided.
I think I'm correct, you can click between, like if you have the electronic version.
I tried to do that on the copy you sent out, and
Yeah,
I couldn't find the clean copy, but,
Like hide
Maybe I
changes.
wasn't
Yeah, like
clicking on
accept
the
all
right thing.
changes or something on that.
yeah, maybe I wasn't
But,
clicking.
yeah,
on
if
the
not, we can always give you, have both copies ready for you all.
It's kind of nice to have both, because I like to see where we've been, but it's also easier to read sometimes than the clean.
Right.
But,
So Jason, when you get ready to do this, if you can search the word "the," you're probably going to be able to do 95% of them by just getting rid of them, just searching the word "the" and leave in whatever doesn't precede the noun.
yeah, because on this next page, page 8, which is on my page 8 anyway, a lot of the "thes" have been taken out, but not all of them. I mean, obviously, a lot of what we've talked about, they're still in, so that's a whole nother thing. I didn't see anything on page 8. I don't know if anybody else saw anything over there on that page. I had number 9, foul weather. This is another thing at the bottom where we need to have those Roman numerals and stuff back in the table of contents, because there's a lot of sections through here that refer to sections. And they have been put back in the text, but they need to be back in the table of contents.
And match up.
Yeah. Now, the very end of this sentence really, there was some wording issue with the last sentence that I said reword, and I'm trying to figure out. In the event it becomes necessary to move a renter's vessel for safety purposes or otherwise, and there's your otherwise again, and the vessel is unattended, the harbor master is authorized, this is due to foul weather, but not required to perform the necessary move at renter's expense, which costs will be included in the fees due town for renting the mooring for renter's vessel. It was the end of that was kind of redundant.
And
So, which costs will be included in the fees due town for renters,
Which costs would be included in the.
These due town
in the
period.
fees,
fees due town,
fees
Period.
due or something.
in the rental fees, maybe in the rental fees due town, period. Because there's got to be some sort of, well,
It's not a rental fee. It might be just good to, will be included in the fees due town, period.
Or will be billed to the owner, or it's basically added to their lease payment, right?
yeah.
But it might be a different type of item than rent,
Yeah,
different line, different. I'm
Well-
thinking which costs will be included in the fees due town, period.
Well, what fees? And it's kind of like,
Yeah. Maybe it's sufficient just to say renter's expense.
How about included?
well, it already says, the necessary move at renter's expense, period,
Just say,
right?
Yeah.
just leave it at that.
Is authorized but not required to perform the necessary move at renter's expense, period.
Yes.
I think that's good enough.
Yep.
And because the rest of it is weird.
Yeah, the rest of it's
Confuses.
wordy.
And then you can say see section 11, or 2A3 above, okay?
Yes. Good.
Yeah, again, the section 2, 3A above is, or A3, A-3 above is in the next one, number 10. I didn't see 11, 12. Well, number 13 has the Anchorage Advisory Committee, and I think we should leave it there because it's in our ordinance that, my issue with it, first of all, is it's in our ordinance to do disputes, but the second one is at times, the town manager has been the harbor master. We have had that in the past. And I question having this should be an arbitrator that is not a member of the town, an employee of the town.
An independent.
An independent. So I believe we should leave the Anchorage Advisory Committee in there as the dispute.
Is that the,
As in our ordinance.
or is it a magistrate kind of thing?
What?
I mean, is it really, should there be like some kind of magistrate referral or something in there, or on that
We
one?
have a contract for a magistrate to hear things that are officially written up. I don't know whether Anchorage
okay.
things are within her job description or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so it looks like now it says it goes to the town manager, who then presents it to town council for final determination.
The way it was before was it went to us, and then it went to town council. And as I said, it's in our ordinance to do that, to do disputes. But also, as I said, the town manager, I remember a couple years ago, Roger was the harbor master. So if you're having a dispute with the harbor master and the town manager are the same person,
But
that
if
doesn't
it
really.
ultimately goes to town council, it's ultimately going to someone who is,
Not,
yeah.
yeah.
So it would be like a dispute that went to the Anchorage Advisory Committee, then we would recommend a resolution, but it would still have to be approved by the town council,
Right.
so.
So I don't think you've got a problem, because it ultimately goes to an unbiased.
Well, then our ordinance should be redone then, because it's in our ordinance,
The ordinance says you can, it doesn't say you have to, does it?
right? Correct.
So I don't know that you'd have to redo the ordinance.
Right.
Mark that for the attorney, also,
Yeah, I,
because that's something that the wording will have to be right.
Gotcha. Yeah, it seems ultimately the town council is the final decision maker on that one. I think in both aspects on that one.
I would think so, yeah.
okay. Vessel repairs. There's a sentence in here that doesn't work. Renter is required to notify the harbor master prior to any work by an outside contractor is to be performed on a renter's
How
vessel.
about that is to be performed?
Yeah, renter is required to notify the harbor master prior to any work by an outside contractor that is to be performed. That is? Does that work?
To be performed?
Is the idea that the harbor master should inform the harbor master of any repairs in general being made to his boat, or only if it's done by an outside contractor?
Only by an outside, I mean, a vessel, a captain can do their own repairs.
Okay.
But if an outside contractor is coming in, they want to know. So, okay, so prior to any work by an outside contractor performed on can you just say is to be, is done out? Can you say prior to any work by an outside contractor performed on a renter's vessel within the facility?
Yeah,
Can you just take out is to be?
Yeah,
that'll work.
I think that's fine, yeah.
So required to notify the harbor master prior to any work by an outside contractor performed on a renter's vessel within the facility. I think that
I
works.
think that's clear enough.
The is to be.
Yeah.
We've added bottom scraping on the bottom. Okay, you've got the COE and the DEP, FDEP is correct, is that right?
Yeah, can we back up a
Correct.
second?
Yes.
It says we have to, or they have to, the nature of the work, the address, phone number, and a copy of insurance policy. Are we gonna ask that that be approved before the work starts? Because if they fail to provide a sufficient insurance policy, let's say it doesn't have liability or something on it, is that gonna be reviewed before they get the okay to work?
Yeah, if we're asking for copies, what are we gonna do with it?
Yeah, are we gonna have a approval process for that, or?
Maybe we should say for review by the harbor master.
I mean, because that's.
Prior
that's
to
gonna take a
initiation of the
whole
work.
That's
long
too long
time.
for
I mean,
somebody that
it's-
needs a
It's a
repair.
really cumbersome process,
Yeah,
depending on the kind of repair that you're getting done.
but we don't want subcontractors out there that don't have liability, don't have insurance, maybe. Is that the idea of it, to not have somebody that isn't insured, or doesn't have an occupational license or?
That's what I think, just to protect the other vessels in the field, you know, and just so the harbor master's aware of anything going on. Because I know at the dinghy dock itself as well, you know, you shouldn't, I believe repairs are not permitted. So then, I think it keeps the harbor master informed on what's going on, but then also, you know, protects and makes sure that everything's going
So it's for
smoothly.
information, but he's not approving these documents. It's just information,
Just documenting them.
notification.
Well, because I don't think we want to put anything in there about you have to wait to get your vessel repaired upon approval, because that's going to take a long time.
Yeah, and I can confirm if how it's been done in the past. I don't, from what I understand, I don't know this happens often, you know, too often, but I can see last time it's happened, what the protocol was, and I'll let you all know.
It happens more often than you think. People just don't do this.
One comment.
But for our protection, we need it in there.
Yeah.
One comment, the proceedings, that we say outside contractor, and then in this sentence, we say party doing the work. Do we want to, the
Do we
phone
wanna
number of
just
the
say-
contractor doing the work?
Of the
Outside
contractor or
contractor?
outside contractor again. Because party again, you know, again, if you're doing your own work,
Yeah, what is the idea that the contractor has insurance and certain, like, you know, like certifications to work on boats and,
Like occupational license, maybe.
yeah, and
well. do we
insurances
have-
and all
do
that?
we have to have anybody that's coming, I mean, are we making a requirement that they all have this?
Because it sounds like that's
I
a,
don't think there really is.
Yeah, I'll look into it and.
yeah, I think we should investigate that.
That, you know, because there are people that can, what if you have a friend that's really good at working on an engine and you want to work together with them?
Yeah, but then now
They're not
do you
they're-
have a copy of insurance policy?
They're not gonna have all of that stuff.
Yeah,
And does that say I couldn't bring out my friend that really is good at working on engines? I don't think we want to go down that road, do we?
yeah, so that's the question. What are we talking about? And I'm not as familiar with you, but is there some sort of like marine certified boat
There are,
repair person? Yeah,
there are,
is that what we're talking about? Or just your friend helping you?
yeah. Well, I don't think that goes to this. Your friend comes out and helps you work on
Yeah.
your boat. But,
It sounds like we're just talking about if you're bringing in a contractor to work on your boat, then
then
you need to provide all these insurance and so forth, if it's in fact a contractor.
let's take out the word party and put contractor.
Okay, outside contractor, just like above.
Well, I think you
Or
could just
just
say contractor.
Okay.
I don't know that you
Of the
need the word
contractor.
outside. I
Yeah,
think,
of the contractor.
I'm not sure the word outside is
No,
necessary.
no, of the contractor.
Because it already said that
the
the
word.
one before.
The other part definitely stays
Yes.
with the,
Well, the bottom scraping is added here. It's been on our contract for years. It's also in our land lease. So it is not
Mandatory.
unfortunate that, I mean, it's not, it should be there because it's
It's
already
also-
on our contract.
It's also FDP
And
regulation.
it's a regulation, it's in our land lease, so it's there. And this is a good place to stop after number 16, because number 16 is supposed to be the insurance requirement.
Okay.
And-
I was blank.
For whatever reason, it got, number 15 and number 16 were the same. Now, if you want to drop the insurance requirement, that's what number 16 is on the old one. Reference, I said reference page 9, January 2021 plan.
Okay.
But there's a whole wording about the insurance requirement that somehow, I don't know what happened, it got knocked off. So this is a good place to stop, guys.
Good progress.
Well, we're getting there. You know, I've done this, we did one in 2007, and this is at least my third time through this thing. And it takes much longer than you think it's gonna take,
And many passes.
and many passes. Now, is it possible for August for us to have the appendices updated? And as far as we've gone, you know, I realize that we still have a couple of sections that we're just not finished with yet.
Maybe we could get rid of all the red and blue and have an update, so it will be fairly clean.
Well, I like the red, and I like some
Oh,
of
for what we're
this,
changing to, yeah.
but a
No, I mean
clean,
updated.
a clean copy and a
Yeah, I can give you both.
finished, kind of worked-on copy that we can see where we are, of where we are today, so. And I don't know, mark it somehow. I don't know how you mark it, but this is June 2022. Great. Okay, this number 4, where was that? Other, number 13, page 9. Okay. So. Member items and reports. Sam?
I do have some. Well, Austin's not here. However, I did want to bring up, since it's off-season, the double booking. I don't know where we left that last time, but I think that's something that needs to be discussed, because, just for the obvious reasons that you brought up last time, Kathy, somebody goes out, they get to the Sanibel Lighthouse, you know, or they get down to Naples, and they got to turn around, weather, mechanics, whatever reason, and they've already told Austin that they're going to be gone for a week. And then they get back, and there's no ball to tie up on. I've never heard of the double booking for a hotel, a boat slip, or anything, so I'm kind of opposed to it, but I'm not sure how we need to handle it. We made some extra money on it last year, 70 balls. We had 74 rented out every month, you know, average rental. So, I mean, it's a little extra money, but I don't think it's worth it, and I oppose it. I think we should bring it up at some point in the future before we get totally booked again.
I'm going to comment on that, having had a ball in the field for a long time. And I don't have any problem. I understand what you're saying, and I think there should be a little grace, at least for the day, if you have to come back, certainly. We always had to tell the office when we were going down to Key West for a week or whatever, and I don't really mind people, you know, renting out my ball for a couple days as long as it's there when I come back, which hasn't always been the case. And I think we have a real issue now that we're full.
Yes.
Whereas until this year, there wasn't as much of an issue. If we came back and there was somebody on our ball, we could find another ball, and that isn't the case now. So it is something that we do need to talk about, I agree with you. I have a concern about rafting on there, and we did rafting this. I know when we had Cruisers Day with that, but there were at least 4 balls at that time where people were rafting. And I have a real concern about that.
They're not designed for that.
you know, supposedly we got the sign off on the engineer that we did. But I remember after Irma, when we were concerned about the wind and we have no real way to test on that pole. And you guys know, we have afternoon thunderstorms that can come out and blow 70 miles an hour. And those, and if it's blowing from the east, going straight down there, we're gonna have some issues with that. I I know we're full and they agreed to it, but I'm not sure it's a practice we wanna do, frankly. So I think those are two things we need to talk about.
I agree. Those are two things we need to, before we start getting full again.
Yeah.
We need to make some recommendations.
Yeah,
Kathy,
my,
you're right. Not only 70-mile-an-hour winds coming from the east, it funnels, so that turns into even more.
Yeah, exactly. I'm concerned about that.
yeah, I think I would personally agree with both your points. I think the double booking is sort of messy and hard to manage, and, hey, you're paying for the ball. We're gonna increase the rates. It's, sounds too complicated to manage properly.
Well, that's the issue.
And then two, I'm sure those anchors and stuff, yeah, maybe they have some safety factor and stuff, but they're designed for one boat. And I think that's just as a general principle, that ought to be,
Then you're getting into
Enforced.
rafting techniques.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
that point. It's only as strong as the weakest link, and rafting techniques are, there's a million of them, and none of them are that.
yeah, it sounds, to me, it sounds increasing the risk and hazard in the mooring field.
Well, as far as the double booking, I mean, even going back to when we had our boat in Waukegan, Illinois on Lake Michigan, they rented out our slip when we were gone. I mean, it's a common practice. But
Maybe we need to set some parameters.
But maybe we need to set some parameters about it, yes. I mean, it's not uncommon to do it, we're not the only ones doing that. But it's a discussion that we need to have, because I take to your point, if you're leaving and then you have to come back and all of a sudden your ball's gone, you have nowhere. Right now, particularly as you said, we're full, and so there's nowhere else to go. So, Doug, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so we're not gonna meet in July, we're gonna meet in August.
August 17th.
17th. And I think we can take out Cruisers Appreciation Day and strategic plan review, because we're really, other than cleaning that up and numbering it, and I think we're fine with it, and we'll review it in February. Otherwise, we're working on the management plan and staff report, and I think
Fee
that's,
schedule.
Oh, fee
Fee
schedule, yes.
thank you. Let's add that in. Thank you very much. That should be probably where strategic plan review is, put the fee schedule in right after staff report, and yes, if you can send out some out with the mooring fields around so we can kind of take a look at it. Thank you, Rexanne. If nothing else,
Sam Lurie, I move to adjourn.
I second.
I approve.
Aye.
Thank you all.